Welcome back, nerds and turds, to another live stream repair. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like, HomePods that need to get fixed up today. Before we jump into the repair queue, I wanted to show off our most recent acquisition. I've had this HomePod for a while. It's got the factory cutout for the debug port and a little flat spot on the bottom for the factory dongle that plugs in there and allows you to do all fun sorts of developer and debug stuff. But up to this point, I only had this part, which breaks it out into just normal USB-C. Recently, on eBay, a couple of these Dr. Irving cables showed up. And frankly, I do not know exactly what these are supposed to do. I just vaguely understand that they are supposed to give you additional access to additional information for debugging and troubleshooting. Presumably software and maybe even the audio signal itself, who knows. But in any case, these popped up on eBay recently, but for a god-awful price, in my opinion. There's a I think it's like a Chinese market website, and there were a few of these on there for significantly cheaper. And somebody had reached out to me, and we were already talking about Dr. Irving cables. They were asking me what I knew about them, and I told them the same thing I told you guys, not much. And they said that they actually knew where they could get some of these for a lot less than the cost for me to get them on eBay if I'm willing to pay for shipping. And for heck yeah, I took them up on that offer. So here we have it. We've got the Dr. Irving cable. We've got, I'm not sure what this is. I can't remember. Kanzi cable. I think this is the Kanzi cable. And then we've got the actual dongle. So the idea is the dongle plugs into the HomePod and gives you USB-C. And then you plug your USB-C Dr. Irving into the HomePod dongle. And then you plug your Kanzi cable via lightning into that. It would be really exciting if this actually gives the HomePod like Ethernet internet. I doubt it, but that would be absolutely hilarious. And if that's the case, I might try to get my hands on a couple more of these to maybe see if we can't make some for ourselves. In any case, it goes out to this Kanzi cable with a little, I think, reset button there, and it just goes out to USB. So I am obviously very much obsessed with all things HomePod, and if it's non-standard hardware, I absolutely have to get my hands on it. So as soon as I saw this guy pop up on eBay, I was gonna pay whatever it took to get my hands on it. We got really lucky that this was actually only for sale for a typical 4 parts of repair price. I don't think the person knew what they had. And then one of our repair customers had sent us this dongle and said, just keep it. So this is pretty much the full debug package for the first gen HomePod, and I feel pretty fortunate to have my hands on all of this. But that said, if you or someone you know still has their hands on any funny HomePod stuff, I would love to, at the very least, get my hands on it and look at it and tear it down and share with the world what it looks like. But if you don't want to keep it anymore, please reach out to me. Do not throw it away. Do not let it sit in the dark collecting dust. I love to show this stuff off to other people because I know, just like myself, people get really excited about non-standard stuff like this. Anyways, we will play with those cables in the very near future. For now, we've got to do some work. So if you're just joining the live stream, head back to the very beginning to get some fresh eyes on those fancy looking dongles we got. Otherwise, feel free to stick around and we're going to knock out some work here. Let's see what we've got first. We're going to pick on Randy. Randy. And what's wrong with Randy's HomePod? Which Randy is this? This is a Randy that I don't have an email from. Huh. Oh, here we go. We've got Randy with no power. And then we've got Mike. And then I'm going to put KTC because I don't actually know who that is yet. And then we've got Phil. Oh! Last but not least is a Ben. Some of these names look familiar. We'll see. So, let's shoot Randy a message so they know that we've got their HomePod and how to watch. All right. Do not look. Oh, okay, that's not a shipping label. We have the note. We've got their return address. I'll probably forget and still ask them for it after we fix it anyways, but here we go. Got a little junk in there. Okay. So, we have no lights, no power, no nothing. 6 watts of power. What do we do about it? Do we freak out or do we fix it? I feel like just freaking out today. I don't feel like fixing anything. But I guess we'll fix it. Very nice. A little bit of rubbing alcohol to break up the glue holding the speaker grill down. Nah. Nah, you don't need to heat anything to get it apart. Also, welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. The only thing heat is gonna do is increase your chances of damaging something. More times have I seen damage like the mesh melting or other plastic parts melting or warping from someone trying to use heat to get these open instead of the ways that we know and we show you. Subwoofer smells nice and good, no concerns there. No. Alright, time for some fixing. First up, we're going to freshen up this board. Keep those death farts away by giving it some new DC filters. These ceramic capacitors tend to go bad over time and filter less and less DC voltage, which in a Class D audio amplifier is not good. It can lead to death farts and other bass issues like roasting your subwoofer, so we don't want this HomePod having any reason that we can help to come back to us anytime soon. And by this age, we've started seeing more of these filters failing than not, so we don't like to risk it. We could not touch them and tell people, you know, our warranty only covers what we fixed, but if you get, if you send it in for no power and it gets death farts a few weeks or a few months from now, you're going to have to pay for shipping it back to us and getting it repaired again. Why do all of that and try to make a couple extra bucks off people when we can just knock it all out while we've got it and make the world a slightly better place? And like generally you don't want to just willy-nilly replace everything when it's otherwise working just fine. But we know which parts do not last in these by now, and what needs to be replaced before it does cause problems. Let's get some new buddies on there. Let's see if I had too much coffee today or not. Not bad. All right. They don't need to be perfect, but they do need to be pretty freaking close. At the very least, they need to be they need to have full contact with the pads that they're sitting on underneath. Don't bake your board trying to get them perfectly lined up, but it does matter that they are making a good contact with their pads, especially when we're talking about filtering down to a couple of millivolts of DC voltage. This is some sensitive stuff. Oh, I'm not gonna get over the smell of this flux. They must have changed their formula or something, because it went from smelling like this really nice tree sap to a body odor. And it's the same exact stuff I've always used. I'm gonna have to email them and ask them what's up with that. Chip quick, why you stinky? That should make this one happy HomePod. Where'd it go? There it is. It's a good thing I've got spares on my desk. I wonder if we've got any bricked pods in the queue today. We do use a little bit of heat to soften up that adhesive, make it nice and sticky again to keep the top on there. And there we have it. That's 1 for 1. I remembered they left their shipping address in the box, so I won't ask for it. Also, folks, use Pirate Ship. Stop going to UPS and USPS and paying literally more for shipping both ways than I charge for our repairs. It is absolutely insane when I see one of these HomePods show up in a box with the postage cost on it printed $40 plus. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And what even blows my mind even more is I try to let people know about this. You know, it's only going to cost $15 to $20 if you use Pirate Ship, and it's the same UPS or USPS labels. And people still pay the $40-50 for the return shipping directly with UPS or USPS after the fact. It blows my mind.
I'm having trouble
But what can you do? I'm not saying Randy did that, but it was a thought that just occurred to me. All right. Up next, we've got Mike. Let's see what's up with Mike's pod. Seems to be no power. All right. Well, let's shoot them a message so they know it's here and they can watch, and then we'll do the same exact repair that we just did to Randy there. Let's see. Get their name up on the screen. All right. I want my webcam. I want you guys to be able to see me open these boxes. Is this my webcam? I think this one's my webcam. If I can find my USB ports. There we go. Webcam. Okay, let's fix this really quick. Where is my Stream Deck? We'll add a camera. Oh, add existing webcam. Why is it existing? Why does it exist already? Fit to screen? Why is this camera not working? Oh, there's a... What the heck? Why is this camera not working? Video capture device. Oh, there we go. Now we can open this. Making a mess. We're making a mess. Yeah, look at my messy room. Judge me, I don't care. This is the room of someone that does stuff. Wow, look at that. I don't know about you guys, but I like the smell of painter's tape. Ideally, we can reuse most of this. I shall try. Alright. We've got the pod. And it's certainly got no power there. It's pulling a couple watts from the wall like they usually do. So let's get this fixed. Ooh, we do have a teeny tiny little crack right there on the top. Teeny tiny little guy. So we'll want to be careful when we pry up on this. We'll start somewhere else so we don't make that worse. There we go. And we did not make that any worse. That's how you do it. Make sure you get under both those layers for this display, folks. You don't want to pry the plastic off of this and break that. Well, it doesn't really matter if you break the ambient light sensor off. The display just won't have automatic brightness anymore. But it still works perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, on some of my colored HomePods, I purposefully break that ambient light sensor off, because it'll force the display at full brightness all the time. Well, at least whenever it's on. And that helps the volume buttons shine through the color on the top a lot better. How does our subwoofer smell? Fantastic as always. Yeah! Haha! Oh, one of my friends works for Xfinity doing, Xfinity installs and troubleshooting mobile. And he was telling me about one of his coworkers that with their impact drill, they don't put the drill into the screw before unscrewing it or screwing it in. They will literally start the screwdriver and then jam it into the screw while it's already going. And like for a little guy like this, not a problem. But that makes me kind of cringe on bigger stuff. There's probably an actual term for what that's called. Okay. Filters first. Want to keep those death farts away. Alright, how's that look? Oh, almost perfect. There we go. get some fresh air in here. FedEx.
Yeah, she's tired.
What is that? Who's that for?
What?
Was that
It's
FedEx?
boxes. For Nick, probably.
Oh, yes. Another one saved. 2 for 2.
I'm having trouble connecting to.
Aren't we all?
I'm having.
Hey, give me volume
I'm
buttons.
having trouble.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see if we can't get... nah. I'll figure that out later. I want to let this test overnight. Alright. On to the next one. Let's figure out who this KTC is. We're not going to find KTC. Alright, sorry, I had got a text message from someone whose HomePod that I've had for quite some time, trying to nail down what exactly their issue even was, and I didn't want to leave them hanging there. Let's get this opened up. See if we can't figure out who we're dealing with here. Let's see, can we search for the tracking number in our email? Gmail is awful at search, which is ironic given that it's made by a search company. Oh! Amazing, we found it. Oh no, we didn't. No. Well, it's a good thing our order of replacement boxes showed up today, because we're going to need it. Oh, goodness. Okay. This is not my favorite game to play. Whose HomePod is it? So this one is tracking number ending in 8949. Ah, there we go. We found them. We found him. This is Daniel's HomePod. I'm gonna write their name. on their box here so we know whose it is. Daniel F. We will call them. What is wrong with Daniel's HomePod? Huh, it doesn't turn on. You guys getting sick of the same problem yet? 'Cause I'm not. And it looks like it's been a while since it's turned on as well. So, we got a couple of watts being pulled from the wall. That's it. How many repairs do we do in a day? We usually can get about an hour or two a day to live stream our repairs. And in that time, we can get anywhere from about 2 to 6 squeezed out. Usually it takes us 20-30 minutes to do a repair for most standard issues. And it also depends on how much we slow ourselves down talking to. Not saying, I'm not telling you guys to shut up and stop asking me questions. I enjoy it. But if we're aiming for speed, we gotta focus and we can't talk. Sometimes we just make the silliest mistakes if we're talking while we're working. But it makes for good content. And the HomePod couldn't be in a better place for getting fixed. Is this one cracked too? Or am I seeing things? These can hide the smallest cracks on the outer edge. And unfortunately for us, sometimes we don't notice them, so we don't call it out before we start working on it. And if I don't call it out before I start working on it, then I don't want someone getting their HomePod back questioning whether they sent it with that crack already or not. So I just replace it. I'll take that. But that's why I like to do everything on live stream, from opening the box to taking a quick look at the condition before we even do anything to it, so there's no question. And also it makes it really easy to go back and look at any previous repairs if we ever had any question on what exactly we did or didn't do. Very dusty. It's been a minute for this HomePod, I'm guessing, since it's last turned on. Out of all the places that could have landed, Forgot one. There we go. And boom. Easy peasy. Can HomePod parts be swapped? Yes, they can. Within the same generation, that is. So any first-gen HomePod can swap with any other first-gen HomePod's parts, and it doesn't matter if it's a black or white one. Same with the Mini. You can swap any parts around between two Minis, and same with the second-gen. And every single part will swap between the same generation HomePod. You cannot, however, swap any parts between different generations. So like you can't take the subwoofer from a first gen and stick it in second gen or any other bit for that matter. Not a single screw or piece of plastic is the same between a first gen and the second gen, with the exception of this guy right here. This is the only part that is identical between the first and second gen HomePod. Isn't that funny? There isn't a single screw, gasket, or speaker that you can otherwise swap between generations. But that little gasket stayed the same. But no, they don't serialize them in the sense that if you swap any given part to another HomePod, it'll lock itself or stop working. Thankfully, I'm guessing Apple figured that HomePods wouldn't be commonly lost or stolen, so they didn't need to put any additional lockdowns like that on there. Here we go. First up, some new filters to keep the farts away. Keep that subwoofer nice and healthy. Hot, 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 spicy. I wish my fingers were made out of ceramic sometimes. Goodness. Alright. How does it look so good on camera and then so jacked up in person? Isn't the close-up camera supposed to show imperfections? Make them more obvious? This is why I use my bare eyeballs. I don't trust computers. And they're rocks for brains. Oh yes, if you're tuning in late to the stream and you're curious what my new HomePod toy is, go back to the very beginning and I show it off for you guys a little bit. It's a new dongle type deal for the HomePods. Appears to be for extra debugging for Apple internal stuff. Alright. That's not going anywhere. after reassembling my HomePod had bad vibration rattling when bass hits. It sounds like you either don't have this plastic ring or the one underneath it put in correctly, or this gasket in particular you might not have fully pushed back down. That's what that needs to look like. Right there. And then lastly, the only other thing that would affect the seal is this gasket for your subwoofer. So you're going to pop that down, and then we are going to plug our subwoofer in, and then we need to make sure that as we put the subwoofer in, it doesn't get caught on the cable, and you can see that our gasket is still where it should be, so we'll feed that ribbon cable through the hole in our woofer, and we'll gently set that down. You want to make sure that as you're setting the subwoofer down, it's not pinching the ribbon cable here. And then you can screw your subwoofer down. Anything else from here up won't have anything to do with the subwoofer sealing the inside of the HomePod. And it shouldn't rattle, basically, from anything here up. Any rattling when the bass hits should be from one of those gaskets. I have a video on my channel how to repair your HomePod with no power. It's in the how-to guides playlist on my channel. But pay close attention. Watch that guide if you haven't, and pay close attention to the reassembly steps, particularly around those plastic rings under the subwoofer. Chances are that's what your problem is. Now, if all of that is correct, then it's possible that your subwoofer might be bent. So look at it from the side and see if any of the subwoofer is bent up and keeping it from sitting flat against its gasket underneath. Last but not least, also, this ribbon cable here. You want to stick it back up to the underneath of that basket. Otherwise it'll sag like this and rattle against the subwoofer too. It's kind of tricky. We make it look a lot easier on camera than it really is. But I believe in you. You did the hardest part, which was getting it apart and fixing it and putting it back together for the most part. It looks like this one might have possibly sat in the sun for too long, because it looks like the mesh is starting to separate from its own layers. Of course, mate. Yeah, just let me know if you still get stuck. It is a perfectly fixable problem that you have. Speaking of perfectly fixable, another one saved. All right.
I'm having trouble I'm having trouble.
Aren't we all? Well, enough about the jokes. All right. Next is Phil. Are we gonna have a streak of nothing but no power today? Here it is. Looking good. But not working good. 5 watts at the wall. If you've watched enough of these, you know what's coming up. Let's knock it out. Besides no power, what other issues do you encounter? Oh brother, I'm about to blow your mind. Head over to my website, nicsfix.com. It's that website at the bottom right hand of our live stream right here. Right there, that guy. I've got a whole section for common issues and a couple of lesser common issues that we've encountered here. Quite a few. Quite a few. Usually, most of them are no power. Some of them are death farts or no bass. And that's about 90% of what we get. The other 10%'s either a bricked HomePod with like blinking volume buttons or boot loops, or that's really pretty much it. But by far the most common to this day is no power. Death farts would probably be more common if we didn't preemptively replace those filters whenever we do a no power repair. So good on us. That little cap right next to the diode has been the demise of many people. So, once again, congratulations for succeeding in that, even if it took you an hour. Again, a lot of people lose that part and completely butcher the board or just give up trying to get it back on there. Once you get the hang of it, though, it only takes a couple of seconds to get that thing back on there. Essentially, all you need to do is retin the pads for the capacitor, get some fresh solder on there, and then put a bunch of flux down. The flux will help hold your capacitor in place. So you put your flux down, then you'll put your capacitor where it should go, and then you want to take your heat gun and go straight down from the top at it. And it should go right into place. It's another good-looking subwoofer, if you ask me. Foreign object. Foreign object. Foreign object. What is it? I have no idea what that is. Didn't come from me, I think. Excuse me. Well, here we go. We are at our favorite place, our fart filters. Let's get those replaced so it doesn't fart. There it is, this 46K data diode. Let's get him out of here. Do I think Apple discontinued the HomePod so they wouldn't have to do recalls? I think it's entirely possible. Dare I say, maybe even likely. It's hard to say for certain because, I mean, at the end of the day, recall or discontinuing a product does not exonerate you from having to recall it. But it certainly does help sweep things under the rug, and maybe you get away with it. More likely, the reason why we never saw any recalls was because there just weren't enough people complaining about it. Partially because it just wasn't as popular of a product as their other stuff was. You look at all their other products that they've recalled in the past, and they have had, to my understanding, a much larger sales volume, so more people out there to complain about problems. But they certainly, I do think that they certainly, at the very least, discontinued them as soon as they could without too much heat, so that more people wouldn't get their hands on them to complain about said problems and subsequently trigger a recall. But that's all speculation. That's just a theory. We've got power. All right. The last one of today. We've got Ben. Let's see what's up with Ben. Ah. Let's see. Ben's got 2 HomePods.
I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble.
All right. Let's take a look at Ben's HomePods. Two HomePods that won't power on, eh? Let's see. Yeah, no lights, no nothing. Couple of watts at the wall. That certainly looks like the usual dead diode. It looks like today will indeed be nothing but no power repairs. What a streak. The trick to getting these tops off without cracking them is to keep going around it, cutting through that adhesive until it basically pops off on its own. You don't want to pry you don't want to pry at it. That's how you crack it. Another fine smelling subwoofer, if you ask me. Filter time. Time for some filters. awesome and fantastic. Look at that roasty looking diode. That is certainly causing our power problem. For those curious, replacing this diode with a brand new, beefier, higher quality one will permanently prevent this failure from occurring again. That's the only reason these diodes are failing, is they were not quality diodes. It's not like their voltage rating or specification was wrong, they just simply made them like crap. But only those 2 particular weeks worth of diodes. All the other ones we've seen inside of HomePods have been working just fine, and we've never seen a date code outside of these 2 fail. That said, there's no way to tell what diode your HomePod has without taking it apart, so there's no point in rushing to replace it unless it actually dies on you. this one's a little dirty on the side. We might try to clean that up before we send it back to him. Ooh. Looks like somebody has already tried to work on this. I wonder how far they got. Oh, they did say, I did attempt to change the diode on one, and upon putting it all back together was still unable to get it to power on. So, this'll be interesting. Guess we saved the best for last, huh?
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
Perfect. That's 1 for 1. Let's see if we can't fix number 2 here. Yeah, now obviously this one has been worked on before. Ben did tell us that they've already tried replacing the diode and it still won't turn on. So I'm not going to plug this in yet because I don't know what they messed up and I don't want to cause more damage. For now, let's just get this all the way apart and see if we can't find anything obvious. And I'll go along the way and critique your work here, Ben, in case you were curious how to improve. The first thing I notice here is the display isn't all the way down. I'm not sure yet why. And you're missing one of your thingies here. We'll replace that, no big deal. Now, why is this... Excuse me. Why is this all jacked up? Dang, if I knew these came in today, I would have started the stream off with this one. Alright, I don't see any reason why this didn't want to sit all the way down. Oh, you know what? It's good. It's right. The mesh just wasn't tightened up around it. Okay. So far, except for tightening the mesh, it looks like you did everything correctly. Logic board, ribbon cable, they look okay. What do we got going on here? Ah. Okay. It just looks like you didn't have that lined up quite right. Okay, so yeah, the glue was just keeping your top basket from sitting as, sitting flush. That can happen. You can get rid of this stuff. You don't need to keep this. You got these parts. You got these parts correct. Let's make sure we're not missing any of the gaskets for these screws. Nope, those are all good. You put this in correctly. So far, man, looks like you did pretty good. Oh, I think the power supply just clicked all the way in. That's funny. And I already see what the problem is. So I don't think it was the power supply, because it was screwed down, so it should have been making a good enough contact. You got the ribbon cable here correctly installed as well. That one trips a lot of people up. Well, gee, Ben did all the hard work for us. We might have to give them a little bit of a discount on this one. You bet it's the capacitor? Meat Man is correct. Ben lost the little capacitor next to their diode. Good guess. Good guess. I don't see any other weird junk in here indicating they might have broken anything off. Oh, they did. So this is in addition to the missing capacitor on the amplifier, but let me grab one of these boards so you guys can see what it's supposed to look like. Alright. Can you spot the difference? Probably not, because the camera's not picking it up very well, but this chip right here is completely gone. This is another common thing people do is they'll get a little, they either have too big of a screwdriver or they get a little clumsy with it, and as they're taking the screws out for the amp, they will scrape that piece off the board there. This is the microphone simplicity board. This is what takes the microphones and feeds the signal to the rest of the HomePod. But it also houses the orientation sensor. So the HomePod knows whether you're picking it up and moving it around or whether it's placed upside down to go into DFU mode. So without that chip and or with physical damage to this board, you're going to have all sorts of problems. But that's not the only issue here. What's more likely keeping this thing from turning on, as Meat Man correctly guessed, we are missing our little, if I remember correctly, this is a 0.1 microfarad capacitor right here. So thankfully I've got a bunch of those on hand because I anticipated this kind of thing happening and people sending them in to me to get it fixed. There we go. Got our little guy on there. We're just gonna go to town. Oh. We're gonna get this diode off because it's gonna be easier to do this. With it out of the way. There we go. I'm gonna get it a little more flux and make sure it's actually on there. Okay. And that diode and the pads on your board are looking pretty barren for solder, so we're going to put some solder on there. Is that moving? No, it's not moving. It's not going nowhere. We need not worry about putting solder on the board. It'll be easier to put it on the diode. Got some funny solder on there. Flex or something. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. Alright, is that one happy HomePod? I can't remember what that capacitor connects to on the top. But we'll just see if it's connected to anything. Yep. Our capacitor is connected. I don't trust whatever flux they used. I don't know if it's no clean or not. So we're going to clean this board up. I don't normally clean my boards since we use no clean flux. But flux typically will corrode your components if you don't clean it up. Unless you're using the good stuff. Like we do. There's also a good chance to make sure that capacitor doesn't fall off easily. Alright, I might have to take your discount back, Ben. This is turning out to be a little more work than I thought at first. But I won't charge you any more than I estimated originally. And we gotta replace that microphone board too. Almost forgot about that. Okay. Oof. Let's get this back together. Oh, you know what? Let's give it new filters too. I don't want to do all this work and charge them all this money and send it back just to get it back for death farts in a few months. It does not look like they replaced their filters, so I don't blame people that do their own repairs for not replacing these filters unless they're actually bad. But if you're a repair shop and you offer HomePod repairs as a service, you damn well better be replacing these filters as part of every repair. Don't do your customers dirty like that. At this point, we know better. A year or two ago, different story. We didn't know that these were failing as often as they do. Heck, they were generally testing fine before failing within a year or so after, 2 months later. It's way smaller than it looks on screen, you bet, man. That's probably... Well, actually, there are components we've worked on on these amplifier boards that are half that size. I think it's a lot of the resistors around the ribbon connector on the amplifier. They are incredibly small. Alright. Not the best I've ever done, but they are square on there. They're not going anywhere. Alright, let's get this back together and let's get out of here. We need to replace this board really quick. So we're going to drip some alcohol in there. Unlock these connectors. And this should pop right off, pretty much. Pretty much. There we go. Now I can get you guys up close on that. You can see chip no more. So, I'll put that in my stack of them, and I'll grab one of my good ones. There's really no point in trying to fix the board itself, unfortunately. There's usually just too much damage done to that area for it to be worth the trouble. Alright, let's make sure this one's in good shape. We've got our chip there. All the connectors are nice. This is the tricky part, getting this sucker back in. Yes. Yes. Yes! Oh, we still got one more connector on the other side there. Let's get that. Let's get that dingus. I'm telling you, this is the tricky part right here. Alright, you guys might not be able to watch me do this because I gotta go at a really weird angle. Ha!
Got him.
We'll push that down. Make sure it's nice and stuck on there. I don't want it going anywhere. Falling out on the way back to him. Awful. Okay. Let's see if we can make this look and work like a HomePod again. There should be no reason for this to not work now, assuming there was no other damage that we missed. You'll never guess what I just found. Stuck to the bottom of the subwoofer. Their missing capacitor. Unbelievable. I'm keeping it. That's mine now, thank you. Alright, it is nice and sealed. Oh, okay. Here's how we fix this. So the problem is when they pried this top off, it bent the plastic where the screws poke through, so it's not letting them go in straight. How we fix that, so we get all these out. It's a surprisingly simple fix. Oh boy, they really pried at this. Okay, we just take our T6 and we stab it straight down through each of those holes. And that should clear the path for them to go straight down. I used to have to do this a lot. Way back in the beginning when we first started doing these repairs. Until I learned that I could avoid this entirely by prying on top of the screws for the subwoofer. Well, that's a better spot to pry. Instead of all around. Like you see how they scratched up the edge of the woofer here? If you pry just on the screws, then the subwoofer can stay in good shape in case you want to take the woofer out and use it for some other project in the future where it's exposed. The screws are easy to replace. The subwoofer is not as easy. But there we go, those are going in nice and straight now. And you can see there's no gap between the basket and the shell, it's all sitting nice and flush. Oh boy. I haven't needed to dig out some spare basket screws in a long time. All right. These aren't important, but I've got plenty of them sitting around. I'll put the missing ones in there. By the time we're done with this, you'll barely even be able to tell that you took it apart. That's assuming it turns on. And before, this guy bought 2 broken HomePods off eBay to fix for himself. And we get this thing turning on, and it's got blinking volume buttons with a hardware issue on the logic board. I would not be happy. I've got a parts board for the display here. We will take this little cover and stick that on there. There we go. Back into the parts pile for you. Alright, that's what it should look like. The moment of truth. There you have it. There you freaking have it. Unreal.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet.
There we go.
For more info, check the Home app. I'm having trouble.
Folks, that's all that we've got the time to fix for you here and now, and that's actually all that we have to fix here and now. So, I hope you all enjoyed this live stream repair, and stay tuned for another live stream soon where we play with our new HomePod toys. I'll catch you in the next one.